Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet, sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount I'm fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I've come, and I know by thy good pleasure safely I'll arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God. He to rescue me from danger, interposed his precious blood. Oh, to grace how great a debtor, daily unconstrained to be. Let thy grace, Lord, like a fetter, bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it, prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above. Seal it for thy courts above. Courts above.
Thank you, choir. Thank you, Brenda, for that offertory. That just right. I sometimes get a little giddy when singing hymns. I start actually listening to the words. We were singing one a while ago, and I just got this little rush through me. I like the glorious hymns. I like the ones that really, resound with glory. Even our introit this morning, "Oh, worship the King, all glorious above," and I love a ode to joy, joyful, joyful, we adore thee. And here's one of my favorites. I'm sure you all know it too. "O Lord my God, when I in awesome wonder consider all the worlds your hands have made, I see the stars, I hear the rolling thunder, your power throughout the universe displayed." Don't you love those hymns? Don't they just give you goosebumps? I love to view the splendor and the majesty of creation and know that I know the Creator. Yeah, I know who did that. Good rainbow, God. Excellent sunset. Sometimes we see that power displayed in seeming fury. Anybody get any wind yesterday? Yeah. Sometimes we hear God like the psalmist who wrote Psalm 29, "The voice of the Lord is over the waters, the God of glory thunders. He shakes the wilderness, he causes oaks to whirl, strips the forest bare, and all in his temple say glory." Ooh, it's kind of scary though. Well, sometimes we like God to be a little scary if he's scaring people we don't like. We like to know he's on our side. See that thunder God? He loves us. You all worry about it. That's what the psalmist was trying to get across. Our God is the thunder God, And you people better watch out. But although we're inside the temple, we shout glory because we know he's on our side. We expect God to roar with power. But you know, the second verse of that great hymn is, when I think that God, his Son, not sparing, sent him to die to take away my sin. It turns from glory at the grandeur of God to the tenderness of the sacrifice of God. He sent Christ to die to take away my sin. Is that the way you win a war? George Patton says no. If you remember the great movie Patton, he says, we don't win wars by dying for our country. We win wars by making those blankety blanks die for their country. We want God to roar with power. And sometimes we are surprised when God's voice comes to us low, in a whisper. Elijah was at that place when he went head to head with the Baal priests and caused fire to fall from heaven, and then he found out the king and queen were after his life, and he ran away to the mountain to God and said, "Oh God, they're after me." He goes to the mountain to God to lean on God, to have God take over, to have God take up for him, to restore his confidence in God, because sometimes we want a great God, not a good God, not a goody-goody God. We want a God who's a little scary is good. And so God gave Elijah a display up there on the mountain. There was an earthquake, and there was a fire, and there was a wind that broke rocks. It kind of feels like yesterday. The wind tore the mountain to pieces. But then it says, and the Lord was not in the wind, and the Lord was not in the earthquake, and the Lord was not in the fire. And after the wind and the earthquake and the fire, there was a still, small voice. And that was God speaking to Elijah. And it reassures Elijah to go back to your mission. Keep going. Don't worry, you're not alone. Accept the helper that I will send you and guide him into being your successor. And that was enough for Elijah. He went to restore his confidence in the mighty God, and he found the mighty God trying to restore his confidence in himself. You're fine. You're all that you need to be. You don't need thunder and lightning and fire falling from the sky. You just keep going, doing the small things you're doing. So we come to today's story, the story of Jesus coming to his cousin John to be baptized. Now, John had been preaching about the one who would come after him. He knew from his father's song at his birth, and his parents must have raised him to know that you are the precursor. You are the one who is going to clear the way for the Messiah. You're not him, but you're going to clear the path. And John had been hoping for and predicting and expecting a great Messiah. He said, oh, his axe is at the root of the tree, and he's got his fire ready to throw you into it. And imagine his surprise when Jesus comes to him and humbly asks to be baptized. John, what? No, what? No, what? No, you come to me. You should be baptizing me, not me, you. Now, John, for all of his rough edges, he was humble too before the one he knew that was above and before and beyond him. He said, I should be begging you to baptize me, and you come to me? And Jesus, cousin to cousin, they weren't raised together in the same town, but they bound to have visited. Cousin to cousin, he says, yeah, I know, but this is what it needs to be for now. Let us do this for now. Even though it seems curious to you, even though it seems off to you, just let it be so for now, because This is the way we are going to fulfill all righteousness. And that was enough for John, because he wanted to see righteousness fulfilled. He said, well, this is the way we're doing it, with me baptizing you. Okay, let's do it. And when he came up out of the water, a voice from heaven said, "This is my Son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased." It pleased God to have Jesus be humble. It fulfilled righteousness for Jesus to come quietly. Say, baptize me. Make me one of all of these who are coming, offering themselves to God. These are my people. Could it be that the still small voice of God that Elijah heard, even in Jesus, is still small? God may be speaking to you in a whisper. And you may need to go to a cave in the mountains to hear it, to get all the other sounds out of your life. You may need to find a quiet place to listen for God, because he may not be the roar of the wind, or the shaking of the earthquake, the roar of the fire. He may be in that still small voice. Now, at the end of John's ministry, when John is in prison, he would send word to Jesus, because he is still confused. He says, "You're not turning out to be the one I thought you would. Did I back the right pony in this race? Are you the one?" And Jesus, not proud, not say, "Well, who does he think he is questioning me?" Jesus says, "Well, you just go tell John what you see and hear. Look here, the blind see, the lame walk, lepers are cleansed, and the poor have good news preached to them." And the disciples went back, and Jesus knew that when John heard that, he would know, that's enough. That is the way righteousness is being fulfilled. Mother Teresa is famous for having said, "We cannot do great things. We can only do small things with great love." And here we are at the turn of a new year, and a lot of people are resolving to do great things. I'm going to do things right this year. I'm going to do big things. I'm going to get up off my duff and get some things done here. I'm going to do great things and set the world right and save the world. And then we fail and we give up and go, who did I think I was? And all of us who later in life assess whether we made any difference, look back on our lives and go, did I really do anything? Did I do anything good at all? Did I, make any great changes in the world? I don't know about you, but it happens to preachers. I've talked to several, and I'm one of them, that look back on a lifetime of ministry and go, wow, did I really do anything for God over 30 years? I tell myself, well, Jesus really only got 12. I mean, he got a lot around, but he really only got 12 that he trusted in his leadership, and one of them turned back. So if I got my 12, I'd be happy. I can think of 3 people I know that I either helped hear the call of ministry and aid them into the call of ministry, or help them take the next step in the call of ministry. I'd like to make it 4. After 30 years, is that much to show? I sort of feel like there might be somebody here in Hohenwald, either in this congregation or in this community, that has been wrestling or needs to be wrestling with a call to some sort of ministry. Maybe not the pulpit ministry, maybe not ordained ministry, but some sort of ministry. I just get a sense that maybe I'm here to help somebody find a clearer call. But is that much? I don't know. I think in the end, maybe good words for living here at the beginning of the year. If I can just get through this year humble and kind, I'll be doing good. You know the Tim McGraw song, "Humble, Always Stay Humble and Kind"? It says, this is the lyrics: go to church because your mama says so. Visit grandpa every chance that you get. It won't be wasted time. Always stay humble and kind. Hold the door. Say please and say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, and don't lie. I know you've got mountains to climb, but always stay humble and kind. Simple rules for living. Simple rules for living a good, quiet life that may touch somebody who needs touching. It may not hurt somebody who doesn't need any more hurting. Over the last month or so, I've seen this meme pop up on social media several times, several variations. Sometimes the lines are in different orders. Sometimes they add a word or two, but they all basically say this: tip your server, return your shopping cart, hold the door, let someone into your lane. Small acts have ripple effects. That's how we change the world. Amen. You can change the world. Maybe not in any grand ways, but in small ways. The Roman Empire did not know it, but Jesus came to topple it, and he didn't do it by leading a war. He did it by sowing love into the hearts of people who would sow love into the hearts of people who would sow love into the hearts of people until love took over and power crumbled. Always be humble and kind. Now, that's how we change the world kind of struck me when I read that, because, the United Methodist Church has a mission statement. Our mission is to make disciples for Jesus Christ for the transformation of the world. And I always thought we ought to extend that by adding, and then we need to go out and transform it. We not only need to make the disciples for transformation, we need to do the transforming. But I think that's implied. But how do we transform the world? How do we transform the world? Well, recently, we changed the world with our small change by providing animals for some families that will now be able to have some income and better nutrition and better gardening and help their neighbors. By helping those neighbors help their neighbors with offspring of their animals, it might go from a family to a community to a city. Small things, small children bringing their small change to a small church in a small town can make small changes that change the world. Last week we changed the world for some families who are going to have children or have them by saying, we're in this with you. We are beside you. You are being thought of by people in somewhere else who took the time to go shopping for you. And we may never know them, but we may be changing their world. A small change is enough. Well, I went to look up that meme I just quoted because I got it 2 or 3 times from 2 or 3 different people a month or so ago, and I went and I did a Google search of it. But I didn't do a Google image search, which is what I should have done, because when I finally did a Google image search, then the meme popped up in its various different varieties. But when I just put in, this is how we change the world, and that's all I could remember of it, Google popped up several versions of a song. There's a song called This Is How You Change the World. It's by the Christian group called the Newsboys. And the title is That's How You Change the World. And it says, all my life I had big dreams to do big things, to make a change. All the while, I just passed by the simple needs right next to me of a breaking heart that's falling apart. Looking back to me, oh Lord, help me see. It's a prayer in an empty room. It's the little things we do when no one's around and a hand reaches out over a heart in doubt, the smallest spark that can light up the dark. That's how you change the world. Kind words, simple smiles, more than showing up but going the extra mile, giving away, giving all when nothing is left, sharing a little hope with a single breath. That's how you change the world. Well, we are at a season of change as we enter a new year. And many of you will want to make resolutions to change yourself and maybe to change the world and maybe to do great things, but maybe the greatest thing we can do is listen for the small, still voice of God saying, resolve to do small things for people every day. We may not resolve to right all the wrongs, to do great things as the world counts greatness, but to keep doing the small things with great heart, humbly reaching to God and reaching for God to the humble, to assure them that for now, this is the way we fulfill all righteousness. What great things may come, we do not know. What small deeds we can do are right before us. Resolve to change the world in the name of the voice that is still small and still changing the world. Our invitation hymn is Lord, whose love through humble service. Number 581 in your hymnal, or is appear on the screen. We invite you to stand and offer to God your humble service toward changing the world. Lord, whose love through humble service bore the weight of human need, who upon the cross forsaken offered mercy's perfect deed. We, your servants, bring the worship, not a voice alone but heart, consecrating to your purpose every gift that you impart. Still your children wander homeless, still the hungry cry for bread, still the captive long for freedom, still in grief we mourn our dead. As, O Lord, your deep compassion heal the sick and free the soul. Use the love your Spirit kindles still to save and make us whole. As we worship, grant us vision till your love's revealing light in its height and depth and greatness dawns upon our quickened sight, making known the needs and burdens your compassion bids us bear, stirring us to tireless striving, your abundant life to share. Called by worship to your service, rather than your name we go, and the child, the youth, the aged, love and living needs to show.
Hope and health, goodwill and comfort, counsel, aid, and peace we give. That your servants, Lord, in freedom
As you go, notice your marching orders above the door you exit. Let your service begin. Go in the peace and the power of Christ Jesus. Amen.